Hey, everybody, it's Kevin and Donna. We're so excited to have you guys here today. So, this episode, we are talking about a really exciting book, MedStrong, and the book review is going to be fantastic. The one thing we're going to focus more about that I want you guys to tune in for are the barriers to deep prescribing that were an inspiration to Donna to be able to do it. We'll hit the reel and we'll jump right in. All right. Donna, thank you so much. I'm really excited writing a book, like just the thought of writing a book, sitting down, putting all that incredible information into one place for someone to not only think from your perspective, but you to be able to write it so people could consume it. And it would be something that would be impactful, from a society standpoint. I think is just absolutely commendable. So thank you so much for that. I think
Thanks,
two
Kevin.
though, Donna, is when you're doing it, like first, why did you write it?
Yeah, well, I really found that, of course, so many people are over medicated, right? We see these long, long lists. We've talked about it week after week here. And we're often seeing people falling, being hospitalized because of these issues, when really these things can be preventable, right? Falls can be preventable and
Yes.
hospitalizations can be preventable. But we also have to think about like traffic accidents too, and then how people feel. And you always hear people saying, oh, I must be old because, and they're talking about a side effect to a medicine
Right.
potentially. So, we people are living longer, their bodies are changing. And I don't think that story or that thought process is really out there and really, mainstream thought processes. So I think a lot of people think, oh, I've been on this medicine for 20, 30 years. What do you mean there could be something wrong with it now? And it's
Yep.
it's just this culture that we have. So is changing that culture, but really educating individuals, patients, caregivers, so they could have better conversations. Because if we're not all in on this, we're not going to be deprescribing well. A lot of us providers are going to be really trying to make changes and not getting buy-in necessarily from patients, but also, we're pharmacists, we're if we don't have collaborative practices, we're making a lot of recommendations. So if you don't have the
Right.
buy-in on either side, providers or patients, you're kind of spinning your wheels. So I thought it was really important we got patients on board and caregivers on board to really rethink about, geez, what are we doing here? Why? And how many times have you heard people say, why are they on all these meds?
Yes.
So lots of things there, but they all really played a part in my developing the book.
I mean, I love that you had both sides because for me, it was really thinking about the patient side, like them advocating for themselves, them recognizing the significant issues that happen within our medical system that can lead toward them having some very poor outcomes. They were unintended, just we're not doing the right things to make sure those things aren't happening. But on the
Right.
provider side, to kind of get into our subject for today with barriers, what are the things, Donna, in general? Like what were some of the barriers you've experienced in your career that I'm sure that I mean it comes out of passion and love, but also frustration with you encountered these barriers, these things weren't changed that you've seen either progress with or you feel like there still is a ton of progress to be made.
Oh, there's so much progress to be made. So I was at the hospital today, and there's this older person in their 90s on dorzolamide, which you think, all right, so big deal, eye drop for their eye. But their creatinine clearance was less than 30 mLs per minute. So when you look at that, it's not appropriate medicine, and dorzolamide can actually build up. So what's the problem with that? Well, one of the things, and there's not a lot of information on this, unfortunately, but it's been mostly case studies. But they're seeing maybe some arrhythmias being an issue, some anemias being an issue too. So when you're looking at, you know, um, even though it's not really well known why, they do know that dorzolamide can build up if it's not cleared through the kidneys. So I mentioned it because this person was in with cardiovascular issues, and not that there was a direct line to it was causing it, but it could be a contributing factor. And
Wow.
the answer that I got back, one thing they were going to change, but this particular one on dorzolamide was, sorry, I don't do eye drops. Like, what? I don't change eye drops because they're at the hospital. Like, wow. I blown away. So you don't know, like you just don't know the response you're going to get. And I get it. They're busy. It doesn't seem like it is necessarily direct correlation, but let's get everything off that we can. That they were on other things, other products for glaucoma, like latanoprost. So that was
Yep.
still taking care of it. So, little things like that could be major problems for people.
Wow.
Um, so
That's
so there
breaking down to hear that statement. Like, I feel like that right there is just the whole point of the book, right? I mean, just
yeah,
like, sorry, I don't have
right,
time. This isn't my deal. Like, this isn't part of my
right,
problem to address.
exactly.
And
And that's it. Yeah, go ahead, Kevin. Sorry.
no, not all. You continue, please.
Yeah. So, there's so many issues that we have with and that prescribers have. It's that therapeutic inertia that we talk about, right? Or clinical inertia, where there could be a problem. We know, like we're seeing, which I love to see. Well, don't love to see it, but I'm glad that it's being recognized. Polypharmacy as a problem listed. Like, wow, that's progress right there. That polypharmacy is actually listed in some patient profiles and medical issues that they have. So I'm like, hats off to that's happening. But we still have a long way to go. And with this, there's a lot of reasons why prescribers might not feel comfortable with it. And I'll get started on this a little bit in regards to, you know, um, lack of evidence. There's no good evidence out there necessarily, very minimal as to how to stop medicines. Or is it appropriate to stop? Are they getting paid to stop a medication? And what I mean by that is, I've in the book, and you'll see it. There's some various quotes by various docs too that, if I get someone's blood pressure down, I'm doing great in regards to the insurance company. But if they fall, I still get paid, right? And so what if their blood pressure's up a little bit? If it's preventing a fall, if they're not so overly medicated, aren't isn't really the physician doing the best job that they can. So there's issues with that. And if they didn't get their blood pressure down to a particular level, then that would be a quality measure that would not be approved of, and they would get maybe less reimbursement because blood pressures weren't met for various patients. So there are those issues too that we see. And so you can't blame docs for being like, well, you know what? I'm doing kind of what I'm being told from this other side too. Not that they want to
Right.
be told, but they have to make certain that guidelines are met. If you treat patients per every guideline, you will definitely have them in polypharmacy mode if they have a couple or few different disease states. So that's an issue in itself. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, there's physicians or providers or prescribers, they're not comfortable with the process. They don't have a process down. It's still new. There's processes all over the map, and what fits into their practice. Um, do they have time to review everything with the specialist? Do they have a pharmacist on board that could be their expert to go through? What is their process? They probably don't have one. What I've been
Right.
asked by various providers is, I need to be taught, like, how do I get this in my process? How do I do this? What am I looking for necessarily? And how much time? Like, do I hire you? Yes. Or do I try to do this myself? Well, sure, but you're wondering how you're going to fit it in. There are business
I've
opportunities here too.
Well, it's so interesting, Donna, because I think the conversation often is had on this side of the fence. I just had a patient conversation about this the other day.
Mhm.
Prasugrel versus clopidogrel after stent placement, post MI. Right now, we have practitioners going, this is what's going to serve my patient best. But problem is this: you and I are going to see that same patient on prasugrel 12 years from then. Instead of us having a plan, we know what to start, but we don't have the 3 to 6 month window in our mind, or we don't have the 12-month window in our mind to be able to assess and say, here's where we're going to cut it off. Here's where we're going to monitor to make sure everything's going okay. But we are going to start that metoprolol, that prasugrel, that aspirin, and your, new statin medication right now without any plans to be able to monitor. So I think one of the biggest barriers is we are not good about prescribing with a plan in general. I'm not
Right.
blaming anybody. I just think
Yeah.
that it's a
No.
bandwidth issue that it's like, here's the magic cure. And unfortunately,
Mhm.
that magic cure is a poison that we're giving to our patients without monitoring that to use it appropriately. So I think that's
Yeah.
perfect. Donna,
Yeah.
we did not get enough into your book in general. So I'm super excited to be able to do this in another episode for us to do it.
No.
Folks, if you want
Sure.
to read MedStrong and learn more, it is available there on Amazon. We'll put the link in the show notes so you guys can grab
Mm.
that and be able to look at it
Yeah.
more, dive in a little bit deeper, and Donna's childhood and all the other, philosophical elements. The Donna Bartlett Boone. You guys
There's
can
a
see
lot
that.
for sure, for sure. But
Oh,
another thing too, Kevin, is that I want to mention is that if you join RPH Ally, there are discounts for the book. So jump into
amazing.
RPH Ally and go to my channel, and you can learn more and get a discount on that book as well.
Hey, fantastic. Well, we will see you guys on the other side in RPH Ally to talk more about some of the barriers we're encountering, how we can address those. We'll talk to you guys there.